All right, let's dive in, shall we? Today, we're tackling, well, some pretty intense ideas.
Intense, yeah, but surprisingly relevant.
Exactly. We're talking Søren Kierkegaard.
Ah, Kierkegaard, the OG existentialist. Danish philosopher, mid-1800s.
Grappling with those big existential questions, purpose of life, faith, suffering, all that.
And doing it in a way that still hits home today, even though times have, well, obviously changed a bit.
Big time. We're focusing on one specific work today, his four Upbuilding Discourses, published in 1844.
Not exactly light reading, but full of those aha moments, if you're willing to put in the effort.
That's what these deep dives are all about, right? Effort and reward. Before we get too far, though, maybe a quick explainer for anyone unfamiliar with the term discourse.
Sure, it's not just a fancy word for a rant. Think of it more as a structured, carefully crafted piece of writing intended for reflection, kind of like a really deep conversation with yourself, prompted by Kierkegaard's ideas.
So let's jump into the first of these discourses. It's titled, get this, To Need God is a Human Being's Highest Perfection.
Yeah, that one tends to raise some eyebrows.
For sure. Seems a little counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
Like, needing something is usually seen as a weakness, not a path to perfection.
Exactly. But that's Kierkegaard for you, always challenging conventional wisdom.
So how do we make sense of that, this idea of needing God being a good thing?
Well, Kierkegaard argued that acknowledging our dependence on something greater than ourselves, whether you call it God, a higher power, or even just a sense of purpose, it's actually the key to reaching our full potential as human beings. It's about recognizing that we're not these self-sufficient, independent islands.
So it's not necessarily about subscribing to a particular religion or dogma.
Not necessarily. It's more about acknowledging a certain humility, recognizing that we don't have all the answers, that we're not the center of the universe.
And that there's strength in that humility.
Absolutely. Kierkegaard even goes as far as saying, the more a person needs God, the more perfect that person is. It's about embracing that need, that dependence, as a source of strength and growth.
Okay, that's starting to make more sense. Takes the pressure off needing to have it all figured out, right?
Exactly. Now on to the second discourse, the thorn in the flesh. This one always intrigued me. What exactly are these thorns that Kierkegaard's talking about?
Yeah, it's a powerful image.
Absolutely. He's referring to those hardships, limitations, even suffering that we all inevitably face in life, those moments that make you want to just give up. But here's where Kierkegaard's perspective gets really interesting. He didn't see these thorns as things to avoid or simply endure. He actually called them the school of suffering.
Wow, the school of suffering. So not just obstacles to overcome, but actual opportunities for learning.
Exactly. He believed that you couldn't truly understand yourself or others, or, for that matter, the world, until you'd gone through some tough times. He wrote, only the one who has known grief knows what a human being is. It's in those moments of struggle, those thorns, that we develop resilience, empathy, and a deeper understanding of ourselves and the human condition.
So it's about embracing those challenges, not pretending they don't exist. Which I guess leads us nicely into the third discourse, against cowardliness.
Yeah, this one feels especially relevant today.
Big time. With so much pressure to project a perfect image, to never show weakness.
And Kierkegaard's view of courage was, well, pretty radical for his time. He didn't just equate it with physical bravery. He saw it as the willingness to face life's difficulties, even our own flaws and shortcomings, with faith and determination, rather than retreating into fear or denial.
Wait, so if these thorns, these challenges, are opportunities for growth, does that mean facing them takes courage?
Absolutely. And remember, courage isn't about the absence of fear. He actually wrote, courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it.
So leaning into the discomfort, because that's where the real growth happens.
Exactly. He saw the opposite of courage not as cowardice, but as despair, giving up on yourself and your potential.
That's a powerful distinction. So on to the final discourse, and this one gets a bit more complex. The high priest, the tax collector, the woman who was a sinner.
Yeah, this one draws on some biblical figures, but the message is universal.
Right, so no need to be a biblical scholar to grasp the core ideas here.
Definitely not. Kierkegaard uses these figures, who were seen as very different in their time, to highlight the importance of humility and repentance, which he saw as essential for genuine growth and transformation. So you have the high priest representing self-righteousness, the tax collector representing guilt, and the sinful woman representing genuine remorse and a desire for change. He believed that true change and growth come from recognizing our imperfections and seeking forgiveness.
Forgiveness from others, from ourselves, maybe even from a higher power.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we're all flawed, that we all make mistakes. It's not about striving for this unattainable perfection, but about acknowledging our flaws and actively working on them.
It's a much more compassionate approach, isn't it?
It is. And I think that's what makes Kierkegaard's work so enduring.
So to wrap things up, these discourses were written almost 200 years ago. Are they still relevant to us today?
Absolutely. Especially in a world that often glorifies self-sufficiency and perfection, Kierkegaard's ideas offer a different perspective.
They encourage us to, well, to acknowledge our need for something beyond ourselves, to see our struggles as opportunities for growth, and to embrace courage in the face of adversity.
And to do it all with humility, recognizing that we're all works in progress, always evolving.
I love that. Now, for those listening, if you had to apply just one of these ideas to your own life, which would it be and why? Something to ponder as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Søren Kierkegaard. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.